We spend so much of our lives looking for the right answers. But what if that's not the point? What if the real secret, the thing that separates success from failure, is asking the right questions? Well, today, we're going to dive into exactly that. Why figuring out the real problem is the most important thing you can do, and what happens when you get it totally wrong. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the early 2000s, and Harley-Davidson is absolutely crushing it. I mean, business is so good, there's a huge wait list just to get your hands on one of their bikes. It's the kind of problem every company dreams of having, right? So much demand. But this dream scenario was also a massive, multi-million-dollar fork in the road, a decision that could make or break their future. So you'd think the question they were asking was a total no-brainer. I mean, if you've got people lining up around the block, what do? You ask, hey, should we build more factories to make more bikes, right? It seems so simple, so logical. It's all about taking action. But was it actually the right question to be asking? And this is where a guy named Peter Drucker, a total legend in management thinking, comes in. He had this incredible insight. The biggest mistakes don't come from wrong answers. Nope. The really dangerous thing is asking the wrong questions. Think about it. You can have the most brilliant, perfect answer in the world, but if it's for the wrong problem, you're just driving full speed in the wrong direction. And lucky for them, someone at Harley had the presence of mind to hit the brakes and say, wait a minute, are we about to fall into that trap? This really gets to the core of it all. It's the difference between a management problem and a marketing research problem. I love the iceberg analogy for this. The management problem is what you see above the water. It's the obvious thing. It asks, what should we do? It's all about action, about fixing the symptom, like Harley's long wait list. But the real issue, the marketing research problem, is that giant, massive chunk of ice hidden underwater. It asks a totally different question. What do we need to know? It's about finding the deep, underlying cause of the symptom, not just slapping a Band-Aid on it. Okay, so how do you actually do this? How do you get past the surface level stuff and find out what's really going on? Well, it's not magic, and it's definitely not guesswork. Turns out there's a blueprint for this, a clear path to finding the real problem. Let's break it down. Yeah, finding the real problem isn't about some aha moment in the shower. It's a process, a systematic one. Think of it like peeling an onion. You have to go layer by layer to get to the very center, to the core of the issue. So, phase 1 is all about becoming a detective. You just immerse yourself in the world of the problem. You talk to the people in charge, the decision makers. You interview experts who live and breathe this stuff. You dig through all the data you can find. You just explore. And this is key. You are not looking for answers yet. Not at all. You're just trying to get the lay of the land, to understand the context. And this kind of digging can lead to some massive breakthroughs. I mean, look at Levi's. Their sales to teens were just tanking. The management question was obvious. How do we sell more jeans? But after they did this kind of deep dive research, they found the real problem. It had nothing to do with the jeans themselves, not the price, not the fit. The problem was, their brand was mom jeans. It was uncool. It was what your parents wore. And wow, that is a completely different problem to solve. And you see the same pattern with Diet Coke. Sales went flat, and they immediately thought, what's wrong with the drink? But after talking with experts, they realized the actual issue was their brand image. It just wasn't clicking with younger drinkers. So again, the problem wasn't the thing they were selling, it was the story they were telling about it. Okay, so we've got the blueprint, now let's circle back to our Harley-Davidson story and see how this all played out for them. Instead of just jumping to build more factories, they pumped the brakes and started that deep dive to find the real problem. So with this new mindset, what do you think the real question was? Before they wrote a check for hundreds of millions of dollars, what was the one thing they absolutely had to know? And here it is. The big aha moment. They realized the real risk had nothing to do with production capacity. It was all about their customers. The question wasn't, can we build more bikes? The real gut-wrenching question was, are the people waiting for a bike today going to be just as passionate, just as loyal, 5 or 10 years from now? That was the big unknown. And that, right there, is the perfect example of the shift. They totally reframed the entire problem. They went from a what should we do question about factories to a what do we need to know question about their customers. Their new mission was crystal clear. Figure out what makes a Harley rider tick. Understand their mindset, their beliefs, and that incredible loyalty to the brand. So they did the research, and what they found, well, it was fascinating. It turns out there's no such thing as a Harley rider.
No single profile. Instead, they found their customers fell into 7 totally different groups.
And just look at how different these groups are. This is what's so wild. You've got everyone from the classy capitalist, maybe a lawyer or a doctor who sees it as a status symbol, all the way to the cocky misfit. You've got laid-back campers and cool-headed loners. They realized that this amazing, complex mix of people, all with their own reasons for loving the brand, was the real source of its strength. So now, finally, with this incredibly deep understanding of who their people were and why they were so loyal, Harley could go back to that original question about building more factories, and they went for it. But this time, it wasn't a guess, it wasn't a gamble, it was a confident, strategic move backed up by a deep understanding of their brand and its future. The whole Harley story is just a perfect real-world example of this, right? This isn't just some textbook idea. Getting the question right has huge consequences. So let's really nail down the big takeaway here. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this: defining the problem. That is step 0. It sets the course for everything else you do. Because if you get that wrong, it doesn't matter how smart your team is or how much money you spend. You could do the most brilliant work in the world, but it'll all be for nothing because you're climbing the wrong mountain. You know, it's human nature to want to jump straight to the solution. We see a problem, and our brain immediately wants to fix it, to find that quick answer. But more often than not, that just leads to wasted time, wasted money, and a whole lot of frustration. The truly great leaders, the real problem solvers, know that success isn't about being the fastest to an answer. It's about having the discipline to slow down, take a breath, and make absolutely sure you're asking the right question from the start. So that leaves us with one final thought for you. The next time you're facing a big challenge, whether it's at work or in your personal life, fight that urge to just leap for a solution. Instead, just for a second, pause, take a step back, and ask yourself, am I 100% sure I'm solving the real problem here?